Welcome to Fine Living Today. My name is Rita Moore, and we have a special guest with us today. A few years ago, I met a young lady who writes poetry. Now, I love poetry, especially on special occasions. It seems like saying the right thing is so important. Her name is Iva Jean Smith. Welcome.
Thank you. How are you today?
I'm doing well, and I'm so glad that you came out to be with us today.
I've been writing ever since I was about 7 or 8 years old, but at that time it was kind of like a hobby, and I continued writing, like little love poems and occasional poems for friends. But it was about 11 years ago, after my mother passed, that I was able to start writing seriously. In fact, both my parents were writers. They just never got anything published. My father was a hopeless romantic. My mother wrote poems of love and about nature, as well as letters to God. Well, as I said, after my mother passed, there was like a void in my life. I had lost all my parents. I lost my brother. And so I was at this place, this turning point, where I could have either succumbed to depression or I could have turned to God. I started writing seriously, and it took me leaving the West Coast and coming to the East Coast and writing Whispers of Hope. And that brought healing to me. It made me feel connected to my mom, but I also realized that the power of the spoken word could paint images in people's minds and help them to move from grief to a place of victory. And that's what poetry means to me. It's like the air that I breathe. I found that after I started writing, I went to a different level. I was able to, it took about 2 or 3 years to get used to the fact that my mother was no longer physically with me, but the legacy that she left behind resided in my heart, and that the words that I would say could empower and help others with the situations that they were dealing with in life, in the community, as well as things to give them hope. And so that's why I write.
It's funny, well, not really funny, but it means something to me when you said that your mother would write letters to God. That is beautiful. Now it reminded me of when I was younger. I shared an apartment with my sister, and she used to do things that really upset me. And I couldn't talk to her about it because we just never communicated well when it came to me trying to correct her. And I used to write my concerns and give them to her, and that would work. And when you said writing to God, that's what I thought of. You give it to God, and besides just praying, you can write your prayer. And many people are blessed by that. People share. I've seen books in the bookstores, in the religious section, with prayers that avail much, and prayers for mothers, and that's really what it is, writing to God.
Yes, and he's our God. And what I found, it was so natural kind of evolving into being a poet, because my mother would recite poetry from heart, what she had written, as well as poems by Langston Hughes and other famous writers. And it was just automatic. So all that was infused into me. And after she left, then that gift became stirred up in me and has continued to grow. And I am just amazed and thankful that I am able to not just thrive, but be excited and passionate about these words and how people tell me they're blessed when they hear the poems.
It's like leaving a legacy. And I see that you have the books here.
Yes, I did bring them.
Yes. Okay. Let me just hold up one of the books. I'm not able to do a close up right now, but this is one of the books. It's called Whispers of Hope. And do you know the title itself is encouraging? Whispers of Hope. It's not just poetry. It's something from the heart that's being whispered with love. And the poems give you hope. I think that's a beautiful title. And how'd you come up with that title?
Well, That is interesting. A long time ago, when I was in college, I had written a poem about a lighthouse. It was a love poem about a lighthouse. So after I got the title Whispers of Hope, then I eventually knew that the lighthouse would project that hope, that light that ships would use to get safely to shore. And another thing that was really interesting in terms of when I write, I hear the title of the poems, and then originally when I started writing, I would just do a rough draft. But I found as I became more connected to God and quiet and enjoying this time of restoration, that I could just compose at the computer, which was something I had never done before. So I typically will hear lines of a poem, or I'll hear the titles of the poems. I'll write them down on the computer, and then during certain quiet times when I feel like it's a reservoir of water, of hope inside of me, then I'll start writing. And it just flows, and I just go to a place of, like a secret place where I can enjoy my thoughts and ministering to other people and letting them know, despite what you hear in the community, in the news about the world, we still can have hope. We can choose to have blessed days.
You know, it's wonderful that you say, you can tell that she's a poet. Because I'm thinking the same thing. What I do when I hear someone say something that resonates with me, I'll write it down. I prefer to write. I don't go to the computer. I write. I write it down, and that's when I start writing my speeches. I base my speeches on things that I've heard, but I don't look at it the same way where it's a quiet place. It doesn't. I could be sitting on a train, thinking about something that I heard, and I'll just start writing. It's not, and that's not really a quiet place, because I think it's not as heartfelt as poetry needs to be. What do you think?
I think that it's wonderful that you can be in a busy, chaotic world and still have thoughts to write down that you'll refer to later on that will help you get through the next day, the next week, the next year. But for me, I meditate on my poems. I don't do a lot of editing. I know when it's done. I know when it needs to be revised a little bit. But I have found that going to the water, being in the mountains, or just getting up early before the chickens, before all the chaos and noise of the city, puts me in that quiet place. And when I'm there, not only do I feel safe, but I feel like a wellspring of inspiration. I get excited when I'm in that quiet space, because no matter what's going on around me, I'm able to tune it out and to focus and see what I need to share with people to help them with their lives.
You know, Iyanla Vanzant has a whole series on forgiveness. And when she first said it, I said, well, I know that there are people that get angry and just never get over it. But I never felt that I had a problem with that, because I think it's just my upbringing. It was so many of us in the household that I just learned to just let things go.
Okay.
Even though you always remember it, but I find that there are lots of people that don't just let things go and do need to get it out of their system. And that's why a lot of people go to therapy. But I think this book, one of her books, would be therapy in itself. What would you suggest? Well, tell me one of the poems that you think would be a good one for just anyone who just wants to sit down and relax.
Share with you Resilient. And I share with you this poem because when I look over my life, my parents divorced when I was in college, and I was devastated. I probably should have gone for counseling, but I didn't know anything about counseling. All I know is that I had a lot of anger and unforgiveness, and so I do have a poem about forgiveness in here, because I had to learn to forgive my dad. I didn't talk to him for about 11 years. I was so upset because he remarried right after he divorced my mom, and he didn't marry up, he married down. He took our inheritance and gave it to somebody else, and my mother worked 2 and 3 jobs, but I finished college debt-free, undergrad debt-free. But I have found that this poem was to me because you can elect to let the mountain be on top of you, or you can elect to climb that mountain. Resilient. Some people might analyze my mood as being melancholic or speculate that the events of my life are hopeless. Still others may exaggerate my situation or want to debate that my choices have been frivolous. I'm resilient. I'm irrepressible. I am a survivor. When you study my life, you see a maze of experiences, some random, some interconnected. I'm being renovated by my experiences, transformed into a newer, revised version of me. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm resilient. I'm optimistic. I am an overcomer. Some people might conjecture that life's ambiguity might have taken a toll. Unfortunately, some situations are out of our control. My mind is renewed each day. I pursue peace with others and within myself. I'm resilient. I am reflective. I refuse to relinquish my identity. I have been recycled by the circumstances of my life. My life is constantly changing, expanding, being renewed. I transcend from one setback or celebration to another. My completeness develops as I connect with the Father and my friends. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm the epitome of metamorphosis. I am the future. I have bounce back ability. I am the comeback kid. I am love overflowing. I am peace and joy. Let me recapitulate that I am resilient.
That's beautiful. You're telling a story. When you write your poems, you're telling a story. And I guess when it's coming from your heart that way, that's poetry.
Yes.
That's poetry, because I write speeches all the time, and I don't, but I guess because I go on and on and on and on, that you really can't call it poetry, but I guess you look at it as short stories. Mm-hmm. And I understand, I like that, the way you said the different things that you are, that all sum up to one thing, you're relentless.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
And I think that's important for you to live beyond the situation, the trials that you're going through, and realize that that doesn't change the inner character of who you are. It should make you greater. You should not be defeated. And if you fall down, just get back up again.
Now, you hear that. If you fall down, just get back up again. And a book would be very helpful if you need some encouragement. And tell me the name of your book again.
It's called Whispers of Hope.
And that's just one of them. She has other books. But Whispers of Hope, tell me, how can someone get in touch with you if they need to reach you?
Well, my email address is poetangelwings, that's POETANGELWINGS @AOL.com. My phone number is 757-355-0105.
Yes, Whispers of Hope. The title alone, just think of the title alone. Whispers of Hope. Is that what you need? Share something else with us.
Okay, and I want to say what's so unique is that when I get feedback from my clients and they tell me that they are reading this book at home, they're reading it with their patients or the people that they serve, and how it does put them in a different frame of mind. Well, this next one that I want to share is called For Every Heart That Has Been Broken. And a little bit about this history, about this poem. I get really upset when Jesse James and Sandra Bullock got divorced. And I heard this title. I was at home, it was quiet, and I wrote it down. And I started reflecting about other people who have been hurt. Maybe I don't even know who they are. We pass by them in the grocery store. We see them in the bank. They're driving their cars, but they're hurt. And so this is dedicated to anybody who has been hurt. And what I want to emphasize is that 3 years ago, when I was in Maryland at a Black History event, I read this poem, and one of the women came up afterwards and told me it saved her life. And I was curious about how it saved her life. And we talked a couple of times afterwards, but she was in an abusive relationship, a marriage of like 30, 35 years. She moved out to a place of safety after she got this poem into her spirit. For every heart that has been broken. For every heart that has been broken and each tear that has been shed, I am sorry. For every heart that has been betrayed and each promise spoken or unspoken that has been broken, I am sorry. For every heart that has been mangled and twisted, distorted, unappreciated, and left to suffer and feel numbness, I am sorry. For every unkind word, criticism, and emotional abuse, when the person you adore puts you down or puts you out, I am sorry. For each insincere remark or action which attempted to distort your self-perception and self-worth, I am sorry. For each time someone violated what you held sacred, inflicted pain, and transferred the blame, I am sorry. For every time someone had the audacity to play with your heart, to confuse you and misuse you, I am sorry. You are a bigger person inside than the one who tried to diminish you. You are a better person than the one who tried to annihilate you. I applaud you. For every time your mind became entangled in someone else's perception and a higher power helped you to refocus on who you really are, I applaud you. For each time you celebrate yourself, love who God made you, and you bounce higher than your opposition, I applaud you. For each time you look into the mirror and find something tangible and lovable about yourself, and whatever a close acquaintance insists you can't, and you scream with resolve, I can and succeed, I applaud you. For each time you anticipate a new beginning, a breakthrough, new harvest, a positive attitude, and a will to survive, I applaud you. Because you did not allow your broken heart to break your spirit. For each time you thought you couldn't muster the strength to smile again, to start over and appreciate the beauty around you, within you, I applaud you, because you refuse to allow anyone to set limits on your life, and it is with great joy I applaud you.
I applaud you. That's beautiful.
And I applaud the people that are listening, because everybody knows someone who is hurting, someone who is stuck. Maybe a relationship with a family member has gone sour, a marriage, a close relationship with a boyfriend or girlfriend, and they're at that crossroads and they're feeling that rejection. But you can take the rejection and the apology from this. Maybe that person doesn't realize how badly they treated you, but you can move from a place of being a victim to becoming a victor. And I applaud you.
And I applaud you. I like that. I like that. Go ahead and do it, and we will applaud you. Do what you need to do.
To get up and start over. Yes.
That's
one of my favorites.
That's a different way of giving someone the motivation that they need.
Right.
Just let them know that someone's got your back.
And someone understands what you've gone through. They may not be there physically with you, but you can keep reading this until you get to the point and think, hey, I'm bigger than that situation. I will not let it get the best of me.
That's beautiful.
Thank
you. That really is beautiful. It made me think of so many different things and so many situations people can find themselves in where they need help. You know, I many years ago, I worked for what was called the public office. Some of you people don't even know what that is, but the telephone company used to have a public office where if you needed any help with your phone service, you would come to the public office, and I worked there. And I learned the greatest lesson. That's what I thought of when you were reading, I applaud you. I learned a great lesson there that I think of all the time. You brought it up. You said you don't know what people are going through. Right. You can't look at someone and tell that they're hurting. No. You really don't know what they're going through. And I had a lady come in one day. She was wrong. Her complete concern, what she was doing was wrong. And I sat there and explained to her why she was wrong. And even after I explained to her why she was wrong, and she realized there was just nothing else she can say, she started to cry. This woman sat at my desk crying. I've never had a customer come to me and start crying. And then she opened up. And to cut it short, what you just said, you don't know what someone's feeling. You don't know what they're going through. And she basically told me what she was going through and why she just didn't see what I was trying to tell her. But she sees it now, and she was just tired of hiding, tired of making excuses. And so if you know of anyone going through something like that, or if you are going through something like that, just know that there's someone here that applauds you. I really, really like that poem.
Thank you. That's one of
Wow.
that really is one of my favorites,
I can
because
see why.
people, life changes quickly, and sometimes you're blindsided by situations, and a lot of times bad things happen to good people, and you don't expect it, but you have to decide how you're going to react, and to not allow your emotions to get so wrapped up into that situation
Yes.
that spills over months and years of your life.
And
We're
that's
not-
where
we're-
forgiveness also has to come
Yes.
in. It's so much. I know a lady that trains in corporations. She trains customer service representatives. And that's one thing that she does share with the employees. You don't know what that customer is going through. They're lashing out at you, but it's not really you. You don't know what their pain is.
That's
and
right.
and you just, if you keep that in mind, that'll make a better you.
It will, and sometimes if we just listen or observe people, so many times I find people who say, "Hey, how are you doing?" And they expect people to say fine. They don't listen to hear how they're really doing, or if you say, "Are you having a good day?"
And there are people also that don't really want to hear what you're going through. They just automatically say, "How you doing?"
It's social
Right.
language.
They
right?
don't expect you to say, "Oh well, somebody kicked me in the chin last night, and I'm in pain, and I had to get up and go to work anyway. I had to get the kids
Yes.
ready." You just don't know what's going on in someone's mind, in someone's heart. Tell me, I think we have enough time to hear another one, because I'm excited now.
I'm
I think
glad.
I'll go around applauding people.
Okay. Let's see. All righty. I'm going to read another one of my favorites. And this one is called Stuck, Unstuck. And sometimes we feel like we're just on a treadmill. We're not supposed to do that. We should have goals for our life, and we should revisit those goals. And sometimes some of the people that we're associating with are not meant to be in this season of our life. As you
True.
grow and start moving on and getting promoted, you can't take everybody with you into that blessing.
That is
so
so
you have
true.
to know when to let them go so that you can soar. Stuck, unstuck. I'm residing in the valley of indecision, not knowing which way to turn. Can't make up my mind to move forward. What am I supposed to learn? Can't go back to the life I've lived before. Haunting memories fill me with despair. Trying to pick up the pieces of my life, regroup. Is anyone listening? Does anyone care? I'm stuck in the sea of frustration. I refuse to go on like this. Analyzing my choices very carefully, the people I was with, I don't miss. I realize I have to do something quick because life is passing me by. People leaving, existing, and yes, dying. My soul-searching question is, why? Why? I'm forsaking foolishness, corrupt friends and losers. They wander aimlessly without goals. I'm praying to my Creator, my Heavenly Father. I invite you to take control. I don't know where He'll lead me, but this one thing is sure. The fears that I faced and shattered dreams, no longer I'll endure. Yes, I'm sending up an SOS to my Father. He has an awesome plan for me. He will lead me to the valley of purpose and faith. I have a divine destiny. Flashbacks of disappointments and pain fade over time. I know where I've been. I'm ready to claim and walk in my new life. I won't go back again because I am unstuck.
Unstuck. Everything has a point here. Everything, no, really, I like that. Just like I applaud you, I'm unstuck. This is looking at it from the other side. Like, you might finally get the courage to go ahead and do something that you've been wanting to do. I applaud you. Meanwhile, in your eyes, you finally have the strength to go and do something you've always wanted to do.
Yes.
Because you're unstuck. You're no longer bound by things that kept you down before.
Exactly, and you stop looking in the rearview mirror. It's impossible for you to drive and keep looking in the rearview mirror. So you want to move towards those dreams and pursue them. Cut those things away from you that are counterproductive. Weed your garden, your friendship garden, and see which relationships are valuable, affirm you, that are honest, and have integrity, and go with those.
I see that all the time I'm a fan of social media. I don't stay on it like I used to because it was taking up too much of my time. But I am a fan of social media, and that's something that I've seen a lot, especially the beginning of this year. People telling other people, just clean out, not like cleaning out a closet, but clean out your life.
Yes.
Get rid of people, toxic people that are not good for you.
Exactly.
And many of us do know people that we just know are not good for us, but we still deal with them. Sometimes you're feeling sorry for them.
Yes.
You think they need a friend, but really it's not helping you.
It's not. And sometimes we hold on to these attachments because we're lonely. But when you are willing to say, okay, I can use this time to be quiet, to reflect on my goals, to plan what I want to do for the next 2, 3, 5 years, then you will discover it's easy to let go of those things that are taking up space, that are causing your attention to be diverted into counterproductive activities.
That is such a, and this is a good time of the year to be thinking about that. Think about being unstuck. Don't get stuck in something that's holding you back. You need to blossom. You need to have a plan. You need to go forth and do something that will leave a legacy. So like your mom actually left a legacy. She left that spirit in you that's addressing the needs of many people out here. So you will be known for that. Your book is giving whispers of hope to many people out there that need that.
And I am so excited because, my mother will always be in my heart, but for God to use those talents, for that mantle to fall on me, and for me to be able to say things that can change people's lives and kind of shake them up into making a decision. That's really wonderful.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, our time is up, but I am going to have you come back and talk some more about your other books and read some more poems.